Hello, welcome to Sheepdog Says number 96. I'm 4 away from 100 now. Still not really had an idea. I thought I had an idea earlier, and then when I thought out the logistics of it, it just seemed like it would be an absolute waste of time to even attempt it. I was going through games I like playing and ideas I talked about on the last video, and I was looking on YouTube for something I wanted to watch. I wanted to see if anybody out there had tried to play Pokemon Go as if they were Ash Ketchum. So my idea was you'd start the game and pick Pikachu, you wouldn't catch anything, you'd end up with a Caterpie, you'd end up with a Pidgeotto, you'd end up evolving Caterpie into Butterfree and just playing the game like you were Ash Ketchum. My idea was meant to be that I would power them up to the point where he had the party he had when he fought Brock's gym, and then try and beat a gym with an Onix and a Geodude and whatever. I think that's all that Brock had, and just see how I got on. And then do the same with Mister's gym and just work my way through all the gyms. Maybe do a special one with Team Rocket. You know, could get onto even the what's it called? The Elite, not the Elite Four, the Pokemon League. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, that'd be well fun, that'd be a great idea. And then I thought to myself, I don't know how to film the screen and me at the same time. I don't know how I would even go about collecting the right Pokemon to do it without going on a mad hunt to find the right ones. And then I'd have to level them up to be strong enough to actually win the battles, because part of the problem is that he always seems to win impossible battles. I'm pretty sure that his Caterpie beats an Onix just because it shoots string on it and slows it down slightly. So it just wouldn't work. So I was mulling it over and I was researching and I was asking my friends whether they thought it would work, but they said whilst it sounded like a really cool idea, it didn't seem physically possible to do it. I'm still tempted to play it on my own just as a matter of interest if I can bring myself to bother. But that's mainly more of I'd probably have to do it over a long period of time and dip in every now and again with updates. But I like the fact that my brain's working with ideas. The old grey matter's kind of come out with something that for a split second I was like, this would be really fun. I even had visions of getting my son to be the actual character and awarding him the badges. But again, it was just like, it does sound good, but I would need so much more kit than I have and so much more time than I have. And I'm a little bit sad because I feel like somebody out there, it probably already exists. I did look, I tried all the different variations of the search, couldn't find it. If it does exist, I'd love to watch it and just see what they do, really. I feel like it's a bit of an Ash Ketchum challenge, because you can go through all this first gen, and then through Gen 2 and then through Gen 3. And it's something to just redo it every generation. You can always do the Team Rocket ones. I just thought it was a good little idea. I still could just do it for fun myself by having my son put the Pokemon I need in and battling them as myself. And again, I might just do that for the fun of it. But again, I say the ideas are flowing. That was a bit better. A few people have commented saying they would just like me to film more out and about day to day. Things like the mistake with the tin opener or just issues I've got. The problem is they don't happen that often, and sometimes, well, most of the ones that do involve other people just frowning at me, and me whipping out a camera would probably just cause a fight, so I'm not going to do that. The other thing I want to talk about, when my wife and I watch our TV show, she goes to bed and I normally have an extra hour and a half where I don't have anything that I need to do. Sometimes I game in that time. Most of the time I watch my own TV shows. I just finished watching One Punch Man, the anime on Netflix. I think this will class as an anime. Yeah, it definitely does. It's based on a webcomic called One Punch Man. I'm sure most of you have heard of it, and I'm late to the party. And it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's about a superhero who can basically defeat things with one punch. I really enjoyed it. I thought, how on earth is this going to run past episode 1 or 2 without running out of steam? It's just because he's so blasé. He's a hero for fun. He's not interested in becoming a professional hero. He's not interested in the glory or the accolades. And he's incredibly bored with life, because every time a monster attacks his home city, he just goes out there, has a word with them. They don't back down. He punches through them. They're dead. He goes back to watching TV. So when he gets I think it's a cyborg that basically worships the ground he walks on, because he's so much more powerful than him, even though the cyborg's like an S-class hero. it mixes things up a bit. He starts trying to teach this guy a bit reluctantly. They save a few parts of the city from threats. They join the Hero League, which is ranked from C grade heroes to S grade heroes, and it's just genuinely laugh out loud funny at times. I thought it was a really cool concept. The webcomic is something I need to go and now read because that is apparently next level. There was a manga made of it because that was, from the webcomic. I think they redrew it into a manga. I'm surprised they haven't made a live action film of this because, ultimately you just need a bald actor in a cape and just some very, very good monsters. But yeah, I'm very impressed with it. I'm gutted it was only like 10 episodes. I really recommend you go and watch it if you haven't already. I like the style of it. The art style's awesome. The villains are pretty awesome. They're very cool. The characters that are in the S League are very cool. It's just all round good. It was good fun. Really enjoyed it. I don't know what else to watch now. I kind of want something along those lines, but I don't want to go down a rabbit hole too much. I need to read Death Note. I was reading that on Kev's recommendation. I read the first one in like an afternoon and need to go. I got the other like 11 or 12, however many there are, for my birthday, and I just haven't read them. They're sat by the side of my bed unread. Not because I don't like the look of them. I just haven't really felt the time to do it. I don't know. But I know there's a manga of that and a film of that, but they're apparently awful, so I'll steer clear of them. I definitely welcome some recommendations though, because I just liked the comedy and the fact that it was about a hero who just didn't want to be a hero. Someone reminded me of Hancock earlier on when they said about it. There's nothing like Hancock, I would say. Although Hancock was a very underrated film that should have done better at the cinema, in my opinion. I've resorted to watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I'd never seen it. Well, I'd seen like an episode and didn't think much of it. But I'm about, again, 7 or 8 in, and yeah, it's growing on me. I think once you get to know the characters, they become funny and entertaining. I'm pleased to see that's been picked up again after being cancelled. So fingers crossed that has another good few strong seasons to it. Welcoming recommendations though. I've had enough of Jessica Jones. I'm not interested in the Marvel stuff anymore. I gave up a little bit after The Defenders. The Punisher was boring. Put Jessica Jones on and that's been a bit boring. Luke Cage comes out this week and I'm thinking I can't be bothered. I think I'm done with the Marvel TV. I really hope the cinematic universe doesn't go this way because overnight the TV Netflix drama ones have just become incredibly boring. I also watched Kimmy Schmidt and was very shocked at how quickly that finished. It seems a little bit of a parody of itself now, and every episode just seemed to be about the fact that men need to control themselves better, which is an important message, but I felt like, hang on, again, it's awkward. I don't know, I guess I'm getting a little bit off topic and controversial, but it bothers me that you have awesome characters and awesome shows, and their messages are important. It's important that shows have messages, but I feel like Hollywood and American TV kind of decides to push them more in programs where there's a protagonist that's a woman, and then it feels like the sort of meathead that is the problem will probably not watch it. I'll watch it because I'm like, I enjoy the program, but then I'm not a meathead as far as I'm concerned. I'm not angry at women for not being objects. I'm not trying to control people. I'm not trying to cause problems or whatever for people. Quite frankly, I wish everyone would just leave everybody alone and let everyone get on with it. If everyone just followed that one basic rule, we'd all be fine. Except like doctors, they need to get involved. They're important. But, generally speaking, leave everybody else alone and you're all right. But Kimmy Schmidt went from being a program about a really confused mole woman who's come into the big world and doesn't understand it and he's a bit weird to 6 or 7 episodes just basically telling men not to force women into doing what they want and treating them like objects. And I'm like, okay, it annoys me that people need to be told, I guess, but I find I can't figure it. The right way to phrase this is that, I know I kind of said it a second ago, the people who this message is for will have turned off the second it started because they're too much of a meathead to actually react to it. The people that continue to watch it because they enjoy the characters probably don't need to be told So I don't really know who they're aiming it at. And that's kind of my problem with a lot of things at the moment coming out, the shows I like. Supergirl keeps having these messages in it, and I think the second they started with those kind of messages, people were switching off. You get all, I mean, you go on meathead parts of Reddit and Twitter, and there'll be people moaning. And I think to myself, I'm gutted for the programs, really, and I'm gutted for the writers, because they're trying to make a point and make a change, and it's important you make a change. But at the same time, it feels like they're doing an injustice to the female heroes. It's kind of like, you know, you've just slaughtered the ratings because you're doing something that's completely right, that I agree with and I am completely behind. But because you've done it, all the people you're trying to get the message out to have disappeared. And it's like, well, I don't know what the answer is there. How do you, I mean, I guess the answer is for people like me to go out and say to people, stop being a meathead, and slap them around the head and say, no, that's not how you do it. But I don't know, it's a bit weird. Supergirl finishes this week, and it's like she's just had message after message after message about like gun violence being bad and girl power being good and stuff like that. And it's like, they're all correct, but it's like, just have an episode where the Kryptonian beasts arrive and you have to fight them off. I'm not saying I want a bloody action movie. I'm just saying, I don't know. The good thing about One Punch Man was it was different. It was all about what you do when you basically have unlimited power, and it was well written and clever because it was all about the fact that he could literally kill anything. So I can imagine them sitting around a table and going, how on earth can you keep that entertaining? How on earth can you write 10 episodes about a character that can't be beaten? And then they've done it. That's why Batman's so good, because it's all about a detective that always wins, but they've done it in a way that isn't. I mean, there was obviously times when Batman comics have been rubbish because it's been a bit weak. But what makes it so good, and again with Superman, is that they basically have these powers. They're completely unbeatable, but they make it interesting another way. It feels like, rather than trying to do that with just female characters, they're doing it in, I mean, and maybe maybe someone will come up with a response and I'll go, okay, never really thought of it like that. You know, I'm open to being sort of set right if I'm in the wrong. It just feels like they didn't do it for the first few seasons of Supergirl. They didn't do it for the first 2 seasons of Kimmy Schmidt. And then it just feels like, it's like, oh, you're the programs that need to be putting these messages out. And it's like, you don't see The Walking Dead doing it, even though The Walking Dead's a pile of rubbish. Probably could do with a few morals and that sort of thing. You don't see them sitting down and having an episode where they just teach you that rape is bad, you know. Whereas they'll do that in these programs, and it feels like, I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm saying they shouldn't be putting messages in programs, because every program has them in. I saw a great tweet that said, if you're complaining the stuff you watch now has too many social justice warrior messages in it, all you're doing is admitting that you're too dense to see all of the social justice warrior messages in everything else you used to watch when you were a kid. You know, they've always been there, they always will be there, you know, and that's the thing. But like, again, the problem is, I look back and think Captain Planet, no, it's a really on the nose example, but that was awesome because they'd written it in a fun, awesome way. I feel like they're not doing it a good enough service, I guess. But then ultimately that's my problem for watching C-grade TV shows and expecting them to be life-changingly awesome. But then that's their problem for writing C-grade TV shows and expecting them to get the message out to people. I don't know. It's a lose-lose. I went off on a massive tangent there. I was just trying to say One Punch Man good. I had an idea about Pokemon for Pokemon Go for a video, but it's far too complicated and I can't get my head around it, so I'm probably not going to do it. Go and watch One Punch Man. Watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine if you haven't already. And Kimmy Schmidt was a bit weird this season, but meh. I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know your thoughts. I really don't know a better way to word what I'm trying to say, but I'm sure it will come out. I'm sure I haven't said anything that could be misconstrued, but you know what the internet's like, so we'll see. But yeah, don't be a meathead, basically. Treat people with respect and leave everyone alone. That's the long and short of it. I think that's a fair message. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff, and I will see you tomorrow.